I think most of you know me, but for those of you who may not, my name is Nathan Ray Sheryak, and I'm in my last semester of my senior year here at Ball State University. This is my capstone presentation. For the presentation, I developed a DIY studio, along with a lot of other stuff. Spacebar? Spacebar. Alright, so, Nathan, what's the goal of this project? I wanted to leave with something that I could keep, something sustained, something simple. I wanted to build a portable rig so I could go wherever and do whatever. And I wanted to do a website, which we will delve into in a lot of depth later. And I wanted to create something that I could really leave Ball State with. Why'd you pick it? I wanted to create a musical multi-tool. So this packaged product that I've created can be used for anything. Not literally anything, but damn near anything. And you'll see that as we go on. I wanted to use a new DAW. I'm very unfamiliar with Logic, so I picked that instead of one that we're all very familiar with, Pro Tools. I wanted to build a remote recording station because I think that's pretty important. I also wanted to have a personal studio, and I wanted something that I could do to help work with other artists. So creating stems, sending them, bouncing them, sharing is caring. And I wanted to create a mildly professional website, because isn't that what we all want in a website? All right, we can basically break down my project into three things: a backpack rig, a DAW, and a website. This is the backpack rig. I was using a Scarlett 6i6 interface. I had two Blue Encore 200 microphones, an SM48, a Samson CO3 multi-pattern condenser microphone, a Phonic UM99, and I used Logic Pro X. That is a very limited mic selection, gang, so you're going to hear some interesting stuff. Alright, the setup of the DIY rig is ridiculously simple and usually uses stuff that is already in the room. A setup like this is under 15 minutes from the time that I walk in with a backpack, which is great. Because it's something really, really quick and unintrusive, which is pretty darn neat. And it also teaches you how to really use a room and treat it. I used a lot of stuff that you'll see later on, with a lot of recordings with just one microphone and a full band setup, which was really interesting. And that kind of leads into the next one. Your grandpa was right. Working with bleed makes your recordings sound a little bit richer in some situations. And I've never been against bleed as long as it's tasteful bleed and it works well. Like if you want a really isolated snare, that's awesome. But sometimes you get a really nice room sound with that extra instrumentation going through the mics. So I will talk about that as this hyperlink loads. Cool. So, the first thing I did with this is a mic blowout. I'm not going to really go into too much depth on it, but I set up all the microphones facing a singular guitar, and I would play something, and then I took the same mic setup, and I did a run of vocals over top of it. And I got to figure out what sounded what sounded solid on each instrument. And it kind of changed depending on the room that I was in. I recorded in a lot of bathrooms, a lot of garages, and a lot of just horrible acoustic environments. And it was really cool to really intimately know my gear and to be so limited in my choices of my gear. I really learned how to use those things decently. You're going to hear an excerpt from the band The Peaceful Kings, the Tucker Brothers, self-portraits or self-recordings. Yeah. I did some work for the scene, and I also did classical gas. Let's hop over to SoundCloud. All right. The first thing that I did outside of the mic blowout was a quick little classical guitar riff, and this was done in a bathroom with the Samson CO3. And I learned right away the limits of this microphone. I put it in a shower while I was outside of the shower, and it was like a good 4 feet away. important to note that for a lot of this early stuff, I did very minimal posts because I wanted to understand the microphones and the way they interacted with the room. So we go from that to the Peaceful Kings, which was a full band setup, and I didn't do really anything. I wanted to create a low quality demo with the band setting. So I popped a omnidirectional mic in the center and did some very, very limited band placement.
Small town life was his only room. He'd sit on the steps outside the courthouse, playing as we passed, like a whistle in the wind. He's always playing out his tunes, his pieces old.
So as you can see, really very unbalanced, very flat sounding, and I did a much better job with that later. I'm going to flip back to the PowerPoint really quickly. Let's hop over to self-portraits before we do the Tucker brothers. The cool part about having a portable rig that you know and understand is you can create demos that you can then send to other people. So here's a little excerpt of just an idea that I had, and I popped it up with one microphone, and it was really quick and dirty.
Shaped like roses, but I won't buy you now.
So really pretty darn simple. Then I popped it into Logic and added a little bit more stuff to it. So, the slow process of writing and creating something that you can then send out and slowly work on with other people. I then got pretty ballsy and started working with a bunch of microphones. I went through a live board, an Allen Heath Q16, that was then sent into my interface. And if you look at the PowerPoint again, this bad boy had the strongest gate on it. And I did not know it because I didn't have monitoring from the board. I was just getting a live feed from what was going on the stage. The last thing that I'm going to show you from the recordings I did was a VO and some mixing I did for the scene. This semester, I work at the scene, and to better understand Logic, I was doing all of my mixing with that DAW. And I got kind of good at it by the end. Not great, but you know.
Ball State University. Welcome to The Scene, the show that brings the best of Indiana's live music straight to a radio. I'm Nathan Sheryak. Here at The Scene, it's our mission to bring you the best that local venues have to offer.
And this is a mix of Laura Bulky.
Mama dipped me in a river. I bet she didn't think of you.
Now I think it's important for my pride to mention that these were very early initial things that I was able to get done quickly, and since then I've been able to work with this DAW and this set of this equipment set, and it's gotten a lot better. And hopefully I'll be producing stuff and throwing it out on SoundCloud real darn soon. Now onto the cool bit, my website. Very hyperlinked. I wanted to be fancy and have. There we go. Wonderful. So I wanted to create a very mildly professional website, something that I'm able to use to on myself and what I do. I recently cleaned it up, but it needs a lot of formatting stuff changed. But right across the top, we can hop on Backpack Rig, which has what it looks like. All that stuff fits in a backpack. It's a really small rig and setup, and most of the time the only other stuff I need would be just like mic stands, if that. I did a lot of hanging mics. It also has a bio page, which is just a cute little whatever, and a nice little picture of little me. I went through the Learning Center and professors and professionals in the Indianapolis-Muncie area, and I had them look over my resume, edit it, fix it up, and now I've got this really sick looking thing. I also learned how to make a really cool EPK, and all that stuff is very slowly being integrated to my website, along with just like backtracks, the other things on it. A very quick band page, because I wasn't really sure what else to throw on here. And throughout the process of building this rig and working on it, I was keeping up with a blog. I'm going through and editing things now. I'm going to be doing one post a week starting in May. But the main reason that I kept it during the process was just to look back and realize what I was doing, what worked and what didn't, and so much didn't. It was kind of a bear of a project. Just in learning how to use some kind of bad equipment. Let's see. Alright, so for the conclusion of it, I'm not done with any of this stuff, and that's great, because the point of the project was to make something that would work for me, and I'm trying to decide whether or not I need to be writing up contracts for some of the bands I'm working with, or if I should just accept cash for it. I'm getting a yes for the contract.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So that's great. I've got a lot of stuff I want to keep fixing on the website. And there are a couple other engineers who were talking to me about creating a podcast for audio and engineering, which I think is an interesting idea, but it's such a niche market. But if that happens, I'll definitely be featuring it on the website. But like I said, the beginning of the project, I'm not really satisfied with, and I think that's the right way to feel. I did build a pretty cool website, and it's kind of led me into programming. I've started learning Java and C++. I learned a completely new DAW. I made a custom portable studio, which has served me pretty decently so far, and I built a really awesome resume and an EPK. And like I said, I'm really satisfied, and I'm not done yet. I'm done with the capstone bit. This thing can keep doing whatever it's going to do, and whether I'm working for radio in the future, or studio work, or live sound, I'm going to have a lot of the tools I need to get me taken care of on most of the entry-level stuff. Now I would like to open the floor to any questions you may have. Yes?
Do you plan on updating the microphones you use?
I'll be updating them very, very slowly. I'm going to be replacing my Samson CO3 with a pair of CO2s. If you're not familiar with them, they're just a nice pair of overheads. They sound really nice on acoustic guitars. But I think the mic list is just something that's going to have to grow slowly, and it's going to be a very budgeted thing. Yeah.
Did you bring the bag or anything?
No, I didn't think you guys would want to see it, actually. It's a really small bag. I thought about bringing it out and doing a quick tracking session while I was giving the presentation, just to show how stupid, quick, and easy it is. But I was worried I wouldn't have time, and now it looks as though I have 8 odd minutes. So keep asking questions if you have any. Yeah.
Do you think the backpack rig will ever grow to a point where, maybe become like a suitcase rig or a duffel bag rig? Where it'll get a little bit bigger to accommodate what you want to do. It'll still be portable.
Yeah,
A house rig.
A house rig, yeah. There are a lot of engineers that I talked to for this project who do things out of vans. They just kind of boogie along. People hop in the van. That sounded weird. Like there will be a designated area, and it's usually single tracking stuff, and the drums are programmed or done in the studio afterwards. So that sort of thing I would be mildly interested in. But for the most part, this is a very remote idea, so I can continue tracking and mixing in a very mildly professional environment. It's certainly not what these studios have to offer, and my mic closet is a backpack, but it's a start, and I think that it is a good start, and I think a lot of us have been kind of building this in our own homes for a while. I'm just taking it on the road a little bit more. Yeah.
Are you worried about, since you're on the road so much moving around, are you worried about anything being damaged in the backpack?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. I retrofitted a couple. I took a pillowcase for the Scarlet, and I put some padding inside of it, and I wrap it up, which is a cute try. And I have a lunchbox for the microphones, and I put each microphone in a sock. I just put it in that guy.
Nice.
Have you seen the backpacks for like portable camera rigs?
Yeah, I have. How they're
That's
compartmentalized.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea to have stuff like that. Because what
Yeah.
you can also do is cut out like that phone stuff. Like you can make custom phone stuff really easily just to slide your stuff in like that in the backpack.
That's a really cool idea.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It will instill confidence among your clients if it's instead of the pillowcase, they can't see the skills inside your head, but they can see whether you've got the little individual compartments with foam, and I think they can charge 20% more or more.
You're not wrong, but my clients aren't the smartest. I love them. They're wonderful.
How did you do the EPK? Do you have a platform for that, or how you distribute that?
The EPK is I mentioned it because it's also something that I created while doing my resume. It's a PDF with a lot of hot links or hyperlinks or whatever the case is. And I used a couple different templates as a reference point, but I made it kind of independently in a very aesthetically pleasing way. I actually sent it to a bunch of art majors. So does this look okay? Just tell me what colors to use. Yeah.
Could you link it to your website?
Yeah, I'll be doing that as soon as I have my resume up. Like I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of things that I want to keep progressing on my website and my SoundCloud. So that'll probably be up to date by the time we have commencement.
Because the PDF's good to send out in emails, but if you had just a page on your website for kind of the equivalent stuff that people could just go in and click on, and they don't have to download the PDF and open it.
Oh yeah, and there's also a Dropbox link that it's an open link, so you just click on it and it's right there. But yeah, no, I agree. PDF's kind of boring.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.